Can you do the honors, Esther?
I can.
Tell me about this car real quick, because you have been talking to this customer and I think he'll be happy for you to talk on camera and talk about it.
Well, this is going to be fun. And he's excited.
It's excited. This is a 2000? It's a 2000
it is.
Civic Si. This was big back in the day, you remember? We had so many of these cars coming in.
This was the business.
It really was.
Everybody wanted one of these and this car.
This was it, Civic Si Blue. So this is bone stock. It has a B16. Let me just look under the hood and show you what's going on. But because we're doing such a transformation on this car, we wanted to do a before. So it's got the intake that everybody used to rave about back in the day, the big carbon fiber. I won't say what it is because we try and be clean on this channel. And a header, which there's no name on it. It's probably a generic header. But it is a B16A2, so it is the motor that belongs in this car. So let's go ahead. Esther's going to bring it up on the dyno, and we're going to do a couple of runs and just see what the baseline is.
Yes, let's do it.
You might not know, Esther used to drive a manual Honda a lot. She had a Type R. Talking about your cars, you had a Type R powered CRX?
Yes, I did.
CRX SI?
CRX SI 91.
Then what was the car after that?
Then I had an Integra GSR with full Type R
Interior
that was turbocharged, and it was amazing.
That was a fun car, wasn't it?
That was so much fun.
And then after that was the S2000, right?
Yes, and after that was the S2000, and the S2000 was my favorite.
It was a fun car to drive, wasn't it?
I really liked it, but I'm sure if I had known about one of these, I would have had one of these, but of course they weren't made back then. So.
That's it. This is a fun car. Yeah. So let's get a baseline. Let's drop it down, see what the baseline is, and we'll know where we're starting.
Yes.
You know that's my biggest fan. Be careful with it.
I know it's your biggest move. I can move it. I got it. I
know. Just helping. Didn't want you to hurt yourself. Okay, so I turned the fans off because I want you to hear the sound, the way it starts up. It's very nostalgic because it's got that old Honda sound. It's got a distinctive sound. And this is a big part of my past because I remember when this car came out. I started in '96. This car came out in '99, so this was like the B16 that really got everyone excited. Everyone was buying bolt-ons and drag racing these and breaking them, and you know, this is like a big, kind of one of the beginning of the Tuna series. In my opinion, the CRX was the thing that started it, but this is what really kind of got it going. So let you hear it start up. I'll do it from the outside, and then I'll get in the car and get you to kind of get a sound perspective. You ready? Let's do it. We get the sound from the inside now, with the beeping and everything. You ready? Ready for that distinctive sound? So that's a big deal. It's funny, some people are gonna think I'm nuts. Most of the cars don't sound like that anymore. They all have a similar sound, but not quite as distinctive as that. So it's one of those things, you might never see one of these again with a B16 in it. Unless somebody gets it and starts restoring these cars. They're getting kind of hard to find. So this has 168,000 miles. I want to let it get up to temperature, and then we'll do like 2 runs just for baseline runs so we can get an idea of what it makes. So my guess was 145. I think George said 142. So let's see who is closest. That's about what they used to make back in the day when we used to dyno them. Alright, the car is up to temperature. It's 96 degrees. There's the engine. Let's do our run. 147. I didn't hook up the tach, that's why there is no torque. Let's do another run. Second run was 150 and it felt like the clutch slipped, which is here. You kind of hear it, kind of hesitated for a little bit, the clutch hooked up and it made power. So 150 on the second one. So yeah, the clutch is about to go. Alright, so we did a quick initial dyno just to let you know where this is at. It's pretty much a stock B16A, of course, intake, header and exhaust, and it's pretty tired. It kind of felt like the clutch didn't want to hold, but it did make it through the dyno session, so this is definitely a tired example of this motor. So we're going to breathe new life into this car. We'll do a little kind of a step-by-step along the way just to show you. Not too much detail, but this is what our list is looking like. Stage 1 build, we did pistons, rods, head work, head studs, new gasket seals, the whole deal. FX300, we're doing a Kraftwerks supercharger on this. The kit for this is basically just a blower that you bolt to the engine. You provide everything else if you buy this kit. So we'll be building the intercooler pipe in, an intercooler and such. Skunk 2 header, we've already had that coated, ceramic coated by AB. Skunk 2 Pro ST suspension, our LHT brake package, and of course an LHT exhaust with one of the new 200 cell high flow cats. So we're keeping this thing clean, but that cat should support our horsepower without any problems. So let's go ahead, and first thing is we're going to put this up in the air, take the engine out. For those that are interested in doing K motors, we are using the Hasport mounts, the EKK2s, and we are doing the EG subframe. The reason for this is it actually places a little bit more space in the front by putting the motor back, so we have a little bit more room for our supercharger and the manifold. We have a pretty nice manifold to put on this, so by putting that motor back a little bit gives it a little bit more room in this area. So this is the filter. It's actually not that bad. You can see the dark and the light area. It's not bad. Last time we did this you couldn't see through it. At least you can this time, but we'll go ahead, give it a clean and a wash and put it back. But as you see, it's kind of like a K&N filter. It's got a really deep weave and it's metal with the fabric in there, so it's one that you can wash, put it back, and it's a really good filter. Talking of a really good filter, if we was to put a whole bunch of those on there, that would probably work better.
I need to build a plate with a bunch of tubes and put all these.
We fill it with K&N filters. It has to have.
Guys. Do that so the air conditioner sounds better when it hits VTEC.
And it's colder.
It doesn't gain any power or wind or anything, it just sounds better.
It just sounds better. But with the carbon fiber and the high flow filter, the AC has to blow colder.
Oh yeah.
It has to.
Only in VTEC.
Alright, so all washed, back in. We should have a little bit more airflow. And here's the Honda bike. As you see, it's ready for Halloween. It's got a nice layer of dust, so one of these days I'm actually going to take this bike down, give it a wash, maybe a coat of wax, oil the chain, and then put it right back up here and drive my car. So one thing I do want to mention, and this is just to give future customers ideas, this customer basically said, this is the car I have, this is the budget I want to spend, what can you do for me? So we kind of put this package together. So obviously the K motor, we're looking at about 400 wheel horsepower, and we could have done that with a stock motor, a lot of people are going to say, but for safety reasons we went with forged pistons and rods and dropped the compression to ended up being about 10.6 to 1 as opposed to 10.5. It's a Japanese K20a that we are using, so dropping it to about 10.5, 10.6 makes it a little bit more boost friendly, a little bit more reliable, and a little bit more forgiving on those really hot days when your 93 octane could be a little questionable. So keep that in mind, and we're going to show you some of our little extras along the way. Is kind of give us free reign so we get to play and do something cool for this customer. gotta use this one.
Ooh.
A follower sent us this one.
Ooh.
Check it out. It is like stupid sharp.
It's super grippy.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's easy for cutting boxes open and destroying the internals.
I already somewhat started it.
But you used your dull knife. This one is super sharp.
Yes, it is. Oh, hi.
Is that anything cool?
Well, I didn't open one side, so that's. The knife's great.
The knife works really well.
I think this is just. Oh, it's parts.
Oh, okay. That's a big box for a cat. That's actually a 200 cell cat. That's actually what we need right now for the car that we're building.
It's pretty impressive.
It's an expensive cat.
Looks like it.
So to use the EKK2 mounts, we have to change the subframe, which this one over here is the EK. So the subframe and lower control arms that we're using are from an EG. So we have the EG control arms, a subframe, and a rack. It's a brand new rack. And of course you got to change the bolts too. So now we have all the correct parts. We can start bolting this back on the car. So this is a dead giveaway. So yeah, this is the Haspor mounts. This is the EKK2, and I think it says on all the mounts what it is, which is kind of nice. Yeah, look at that. Makes life a little bit easier. So these are the mounts we're using. We already talked about it, placing the motor a little bit further back. And of course, the EG subframe is in, the rack is in. That bracket is different, by the way. If you're doing one of these, there's a lot of small changes. The bolts were different lengths. Of course, the mounts for the low control arms were different, and also the forks for the shocks are different, and of course that. So we're either going to buy that or make one. Depends what kind of time frame we have. Might just end up making one. So right now the radiator supports have been moved. Showed you that. They went from this side over to here, so the radiator is switched to the driver's side. We're going to put the Haspor mounts in, and then we can install the engine, which we haven't shown you yet. So before we put our nice mounts in, you see actually how dirty this is. We're going to go ahead and give this a clean, make it look a little bit nicer, take some of the components off we don't need, and give it a quick pressure wash. So it's about 110 degrees outside, and I'm not lying. So we're going to pressure wash this in the shop. Okay, so the mounts are in, engine bay is clean. That's one thing you gotta love about the Haspor mounts, is they fit absolutely perfect. And they've done all the R&D to make sure the motor is sitting exactly where it should be. So if you don't follow Haspor or Brian Gillespie, go ahead and follow him. He's always making mounts, and he seems to participate in a Taco Tuesday every single week. So his Instagram shows. So we're clean. Mounts are in. We're doing a quick test fit on the blower first on the motor so we can figure out the belt, and then we can put the motor in the hole. What do you think for the outlet? Then that's about the best spot?
I don't know yet. I want to see if we can point it down. I don't think we can though. I think we might have to leave it pointing up.
Yeah. Because if it comes down...
Yeah, it'll be pointing out straight here.
Yeah. We'll have to look at the car.
Too close to the front of everything to get a sharp 90. We'd have to do a sharp 90 over here and then kind of build down.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to put it in the car. Put it in the car with the blower bracket on, and then we'll take a look. So we're using the Skunk 2 header for this, and it is ceramic coated. See how nice this looks. It should keep the heat down too, and of course it looks pretty nice. It's not going to change color. It should stay that nice satin black. Alright, so hopefully you're enjoying this build. This is the end of part 1. I'm going to split it up into multiple episodes so it doesn't get too drawn out. And I do like to put a lot of detail in our videos so you guys can see if you pick up some tips or some ideas or some parts. I want to put more detail in it so you can see that. So hopefully you're enjoying the build. The next episode you're going to see us do the fabrication work, put the axles in, build the radiator, and hopefully start tuning it if everything goes to plan. Again, it's a fresh motor. Even though we have built dozens of motors, it's still one of those things that it makes you feel a whole lot better once the engine starts up and you know everything's good. So thanks for watching. Subscribe. Again, everyone that supports us, we really appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you. People say that, but it really is true. If somebody doesn't watch your channel, there's no sense in putting content together, right? So hopefully you're enjoying it. Subscribe, click the bell. We'll see you in the next video.